All right, guys, so we're going to look at another model video. Seems to be we have a ton of models that we've been doing lately, but it's true, we have, and all of them can come into play on a test, so you have to be prepared for them. This is what's known as a quick picture, and you're going to be using division with a quick picture model, and so or dividing decimals. So let's look at this problem and let's think about what this could look like for you on a test. So remember, quick pics get their name because they are just very simple pictures. They're drawn out very quickly. They're not anything just over elaborate. They're just really, really quick. So when you're looking at this, I would stop and I would kind of just think about, okay, well, what do they really have, and what are they trying to do with it? So I'm going to draw this problem. I'm going to model this problem, and then let's kind of see what we can do as far as the division part of it. So if I were to model this problem, I would think about modeling it like this. I would use a square for a hole, and so I'm going to take 4 of them, and as you can tell, this is not the prettiest thing in the world, but it works. And then it looks like they have 4 and then 1600ths. So what I might do next is I might draw kind of like a long skinny rectangle for my 10th, and then I can maybe just do some little squares for my hundredths. So make sure I got these all broken up. Okay, so I've got 4 and 1600ths, and I would want to divide those into 4 groups. Okay, so what it could look like is basically at this point, I would tell a student, first of all, if they're going to divide it by 4, you would look for 4 groups here. So they probably have like 4 groups circled, and they would probably, have equal groups. Well, we're making this, or I'm showing you how to make it. And so if it's something like this, and you have to now break it down and think, okay, well, what would be in each of those groups? Then I would just say the solve would probably come next. We need to go see, okay, if it's 4 and 1600ths divided by 4, what's going to be in each group? So let's take 4 and 1600ths and let's divide it by 4, and let's see what we get. So we're going to take the decimal up to the top. We're going to think about our problem here. Our problem now is going to be basically 416 divided by 4. And so dividing by 4 shouldn't be that difficult. Let's go ahead and think, okay, 4 can go into 4 one time. I'm going to put 4 underneath. I'm going to drop this 1. I'm going to be careful here. 4 cannot go into 1 unless you think of it this way. Since 4 is bigger than 1, but you dropped it down, something has to go up. So that something is a 0. 0 is in the quotient is what that's known as, so be careful with that. And then now you're going to drop the 6 and get 16 and go, okay, if I really were to do this problem, I could think that there are 1 and 400ths in each group. So let's see if we can't make that happen. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to try to use a different color to model this. I'm going to take, let's do this. I'm going to take one hole over here on the side, and I'm going to grab 4 of those hundreds and say, okay, there's one group. I got that one group out. What I would do here, if I were teaching this in class, is I would think about, okay, really and truly, this 10th that I drew originally is the same thing as 10 units. So what I might do is I might just think, okay, let me draw these now as 10 units, because now I'm looking at breaking it apart, and I'm really kind of thinking to myself, okay, if I really want to go and grab 400ths for each of these, then I could think, okay, well, maybe now since I've broken it apart, it's a little bit easier to go and grab it. And again, you did this when you were younger with base 10 blocks when you were learning how to subtract, basically. It's the same thing here. And so now I'm going to take another group of 1 and 400ths and circle it together. And now I've got, I'm trying to squeeze through here, I've got another group of 1 and 400ths. And it's like, okay, well, what's left? Well, it's hard to see because I've drawn around all this, but if I look, I've got one hole here, and then I've got these two, and then these two left. And so I know there's a lot of crazy circles going on, but really and truly, if I were to go that slow and break it down, I could see that this really is 1 and 400ths in each group. So 4 and 1600ths divided by 4 gives me 1 and 400ths. And again, this is just an example of a quick pick. And this is me making it. This is me trying to create a quick pick. Again, you're going to have to know, on a test, you can't draw that out. They're not going to make you draw it out, but it's going to be drawn for you. But again, I'm just trying to get those creative juices flowing and thinking, okay, hey, if you ever had to create this, what might it look like? Okay, so on this next part, let's see here. On this next part, let's see if I can't really get more room on this page. But there's another problem here, and it says 2 and 1/10 divided by 3. I'm going to skip that one as far as drawing it for you. But basically, what you could do on something like this, you could just kind of think about what you would be dealing with. So I'm going to set it up, just as an algorithm, and just solve it, and kind of think about what it would be. And so this one would look like 2 and 1/10. So you would draw out what 2 and 1/10 would look like. And then you would split it into 3 groups. But really, again, your numbers are so simple. It's basically just 21 divided by 3, which ends up being 7. Or in this case, it would be 7/10. And so you would just have 3 equal groups of 7/10. I don't have enough room to show it. But I think if you were to do something like that, that wouldn't be too difficult. But one thing I do want to make sure we do is we look at some that are already created for you. Okay, so on this page, this is a quick pick again, but this is one it's already made for you. And so if you were to break this problem down and think about, okay, hey, if this were division, well, what type of division problem do you see? Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to look for here is how much did they give me? What is my total? And so if I break this down and look at everything, I'm going to kind of put little marks here. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I see that they've given me 4 holes, so I'm going to write that out to the side. And then they've given me groups of 2, but it's 2/10 basically. So there's 2/10 there, there's 2, there's 2, and there's 2. So basically I can skip count by 2s. They gave me 2, 4, 6, 8. They have basically 8/10 here. So I'm going to write 4 and 8/10. 4 and 8/10 is the big picture here. That's what they gave me as a whole, or the total. But then if I think about what is happening here, they really gave me that into 4 groups. So they took 4 and 8/10 and then they divided it by 4. And so I'm going to set up that algorithm to see what I would get, and then if I want to see if I can find it in the picture. So if I look here, 4 and 8/10 divided by 4 would mean I take the decimal straight to the top. 4 can go into 4 one time. 4 goes underneath. You don't get anything after you subtract, so you bring down, and you'd have 4 going into 8 twice. Or what I would hope a kid would see here is just 48 divided by 4. That's just a math fact. And so 48 divided by 4 equals 12, but in this case with decimals, it's going to be 1 and 2/10. And so now when I finish this off and I think, okay, well, what happened here? Well, I see it, and I would hope a student would see it at this point, and it's like, okay, now I see it all. Because now all of it, 4 and 8/10 divided by 4, I can see the 1 and 2/10. I mean, basically, if I went and labeled here, I would label, okay, hey, there's 1 and 2/10, there's 1 and 2/10, there's 1 and 2/10. It just keeps going and going and going. And so, again, as far as an expression or an equation goes, this could be 4 and 8/10 divided by 4, which would give me the answer of 1 and 2/10. But you have to keep in mind too, again, it's the opposite could be multiplication. This could be 1 and 2/10 times 4, and that equals 4 and 8/10. It just depends on how they want to give it to you, so you have to be prepared for that. All right, on this last problem here, again, another type of quick picture, a little bit different, but still I've seen these pop up, so we need to be prepared if something like this happens. Same approach though. You kind of stop and you think about, okay, well, what did they give me? What's the hole that you see? So I definitely see some holes here. I'm going to put little red dots on each, and I'm thinking, all right, they gave me 6 holes. They also gave me some tenths. I can put little dots on these. They gave me 3 of them. And then they also gave me some units or some hundredths. There's a group of 3. There's another group of 3, so that would be 6. And then there's another group of 3, so that would be 9. But really and truly, if I were to think about it for a division problem, I would think, okay, well, they gave me 6 and 39 hundredths, but then they broke it up into 3 groups. Here's a group here. I'll put a little check. There's a group. There's a check there for a second group, and then a third group. So basically, they gave me 6 and 39 hundredths divided by 3. And then it's kind of like the same pattern here on my videos. At this point, if I were a student, I'd just solve. I mean, knowing that algorithm and knowing how to do that algorithm is important. And I could definitely go and get my answer. So I would take that decimal straight to the top. I would just divide now. 3 can go into 6 twice. It gives me 6 underneath. I don't have anything left over. I'd bring down a 3. 3 can go into 3 once. 3 goes underneath, subtract. Same pattern here. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers over and over and over? 3 can go into 9 3 times. All right. And basically we're finished. So I have an answer at the top of 2 and 13 hundredths. And again, I think at this point, I would hope my students would see it. In each group, there's 2 and 13 hundredths. There's 2 and 13 hundredths here. There's 2 and 13 hundredths there. And then one more time. So a problem could be 6 and 39 hundredths divided by 3. Gives you the answer of 2 and 13 hundredths in each group. In each group, I see 2 and 13 hundredths. And so again, kind of thinking about it and kind of putting it all together, you've kind of already done this. It's just now you're seeing it with division. And so be careful with it. Make sure that you are really going slow. I've seen mistakes in the past from my students, and a lot of times, it's kind of a common occurrence in my videos, but it's true. It's rushing, it's speed, it's trying to be the first one done. You can't do that on these. You got to be really careful.